Alex. I'm here in the Sacristy at St. Rose. I'm going to walk you through everything that you don't really see at Mass, but something that we all have to prepare for each and every time that we say Mass. So I want to show you everything that we use, everything that's worn, everything that you kind of wouldn't see if you were just sitting in the pews. So first things first, whenever we get ready for Mass, we make sure that a priest has his chalice and his paten. These are two things that are very important. This is where the host, which has not been consecrated yet, I haven't said Mass yet today, but when I do, this is what it looks like when it's on the paten at Mass. This is the chalice. It's a chalice that the precious blood is put in, and as you see here in our cruets, we have wine and we have water, the two that we need for the Mass, and those are both put into this chalice and are used during the sacrifice of the Mass. We also have, when we say Mass, what's called a ciborium. And in the ciborium, this is what you see when we bring up the gifts at Mass and when the priest distributes communion. It's in this. And as you can see in here, we have some unconsecrated hosts to get ready for the next time that we say Mass. We have just a few now, but we can fill it up and use more than one if we need it. We also have a special cloth that's used called the corporal, that when the priest goes out to the altar, he lays this out. It's a longer cloth that's used that we place the chalice, the paten, and the ciborium on, just to ensure that everything's kept sacred and everything's kept particular to this one piece so that we can always protect the Blessed Sacrament during the Mass. We also have this cloth, which is called a purificator. This is what we use when we want to wipe the chalice after someone receives from it. And we use these and we wash these as we go through Mass. This is what you would normally see at the altar when the priest is saying Mass right here. Another thing that you might see, if you come to adoration on Monday nights, we have what's called the monstrance. And this is where we place our Lord who is already consecrated in the Blessed Sacrament, into this right here. This right here, which is a beautiful monstrance, we call it. And it's beautifully decorated so that our Lord has a place to be out present to the people. There's a door on the back of it that the priest or deacon opens and slides the Blessed Sacrament in and then places it on the altar so that people can venerate and pray before our Lord in the Blessed Sacrament. It's a beautiful way to pray with our Lord present amongst us. Also in the sacristy, when you see what the priest wears for Mass, this is where we keep everything. We keep them in these closets right here, but I took some out so that you can see what a priest wears. The first thing a priest wears is what's called the alb. It's a white robe that's put on first, and it's used with a cincture, which is the rope that you see here that goes around the waist. The alb symbolizes purity, and the cincture represents chastity, so that we can prepare ourselves to celebrate the Mass. Then we have one of 4 different colors that can be worn for Mass. Purple for Advent and Lent, red for Feasts of Martyrs and Palm Sunday and Good Friday, white, which we use at Christmas and Easter, and also all special holidays, weddings, all sorts of special occasions. And the most common one we see is green, which is what you would wear in ordinary time. Now there's a few other things to show you here. Altar servers wear this, which is called a cassock and a surplice. The cassock is a long black robe, and the surplice is a white garment that goes over that. And this is what all of our altar servers wear when they celebrate Mass. Now here we have something else. This is used for big celebrations, for funerals, and also for adoration. This is called a thurible. And a thurible, we fill it with charcoal on the inside, and then we place incense, which you can see would be put into this small little boat container here. And what happens, as you've seen it at Mass, the smoke comes out of the thurible, and it symbolizes our prayers rising up to God. And we do these, we incense the altar, we incense the book of the Gospels, and we incense the Blessed Sacrament in the monstrance that I showed you before. One of the other things that we have in the sacristy, which is something when we clean up, we have this sink, which looks like any other normal sink, but it has two sinks in it. This sink over here is a normal sink that we would use to clean out all of the different vessels. But before we can do that, we have to use this sink, which instead of the pipes going into the normal system, the sewage system, this pipe goes straight into the ground. And it's called a sacquarium. And that's where we make sure that if there's any particles left of the precious body or blood, we make sure that it's cleaned out here first so that we have the respect that God just isn't just placed anywhere, but he goes back into the ground, which is a holy way to place our Lord if not properly in the tabernacle. And then after that, we can clean from the normal sink. But this is something all churches have, a special sink that is made only for cleaning the sacred vessels to ensure that everything is safely cleaned and that we purify our holy vessels before we clean them. And that's everything that you'll see in a sacristy in the church.